Target planet confirmed. Bioscan indicates 8.2 billion sentient organisms. Atmospheric composition optimal for harvest. Indigenous defense capabilities, primitive. Commander Vrax stared at the holographic representation of Earth, rotating slowly before him. His upper tentacles twitched with anticipation while his lower ones remained perfectly still, a sign of his centuries of military discipline. The blue-green planet looked so unassuming. Harvestable. Commence standard infiltration protocol, he ordered, not bothering to look at his subordinates. I want scouts on the surface within 6 cycles. Lieutenant Morix cleared her throat sacs. Sir, with respect, shouldn't we conduct more thorough scans? The intelligence division reports some anomalies. Vrax swiveled one eye stalk toward her. Anomalies? Please, Morix. We have harvested 37 species across 12 star systems. What could possibly be anomalous about yet another group of primitive bipeds? Well, sir, their communication networks contain warnings. Warnings? Vrax's skin rippled with amusement, changing from deep purple to a mocking shade of orange. What kind of warnings could a pre-warp civilization possibly offer that would concern the Graxilon harvesting fleet? Morix's skin remained a steady blue, the color of concern. Fiction, sir. Their entertainment streams contain thousands of scenarios depicting alien invasions, and in many of these scenarios they win. A rumble of laughter spread through the command bridge. Even Chief Science Officer Plex couldn't maintain his usual stoic demeanor. Oh my, Vrax wiped moisture from his central eye. They have active imaginations. How terribly frightening. Next you will tell me they have projectile weapons that might scratch our hull paint. Actually, sir, Morix continued stubbornly, they do possess nuclear weapons. Ah yes, the fusion bombs. Delightful toys. Remind me, Lieutenant, what is the penetration capacity of a standard nuclear weapon against our outer shields? Morix's skin darkened with embarrassment. 0.3%, sir. 0.3%, Vrax repeated, elongating each syllable for maximum condescension, which means they would need approximately, Plex, helped the lieutenant with the mathematics. 333 nuclear detonations in precisely the same location to breach even our outer defensive layer, Plex replied promptly. Thank you, Vrax said. Now, Lieutenant Morix, would you like to explain how these humans might coordinate such an attack against a mobile target with superior positioning capabilities? They couldn't, sir. Precisely. Now, can we please proceed with our standard harvesting procedures without further interruptions based on human, what did you call it, fiction? The command bridge fell silent as Morix lowered all 4 of her eye stalks in submission. Yes, Commander. Proceeding with standard protocols. Excellent, Vrax said, turning back to the hologram. Expect perfect execution. The Sovereign needs these specimens for the continuation project, and I intend to deliver them on schedule. He extended a tentacle toward the blue planet. Besides, look at them. So fragile, so divided, so obsessed with their trivial conflicts. Their greatest strength is their ability to reproduce rapidly, which conveniently is exactly what makes them valuable to us. Scout vessels deployed, sir, announced Navigation Officer Zendu. ETA to planetary surface 4 hours. Good. Vrax settled back into his command chair. Wake me when they have established the first harvesting site. Scout Captain Quell Dax watched Earth's night side approach through the view screen of his stealthed infiltration vessel. North America, that was their designation for this landmass, rotated into view, its eastern coast sparkling with artificial lights. Target drop zone approaching, his pilot Fenry announced. Optimal insertion point identified. Isolated region, low population density, minimal surveillance coverage. Geographical designation? Corell asked, checking his equipment one final time. The locals call it Montana, Fenry replied, pulling up a terrain map. Rural area with large, open spaces. Nearest population center contains fewer than 10,000 humans. Perfect, Quirrell nodded, securing his atmospheric mask. Remember, no unnecessary casualties during the reconnaissance phase. Sovereign's orders, we need healthy specimens, not damaged ones. His team of 8 scouts shifted uncomfortably in their gear. They were warriors, trained for combat, not scientists collecting samples, but orders were orders. Atmospheric entry in 30 seconds, Fenry announced, stealth systems functioning at optimal capacity. No detection signatures from Earth defense systems. Did you really expect any? Jurix, the weapons specialist, asked with a snort. These humans haven't even colonized their own moon. Their detection capabilities are practically blind. Never underestimate any species, Quirrell reminded him sharply. That's how the Creel lost an entire harvesting fleet at Proxima Centauri. The Creel were incompetent, Jurix muttered, but fell silent under Kreshil's glare. The craft shuddered slightly as it entered Earth's atmosphere, its advanced materials absorbing and dispersing heat while the stealth field bent light around its hull. To any human observer, if there had been any watching that particular patch of Montana sky at 2:37 a.m., nothing would have appeared amiss. Perhaps a slight shimmer, easily dismissed as atmospheric disturbance. Touchdown in 10 seconds, Fenry announced. Dampening fields active. The scout vessel settled silently in a clearing surrounded by what the humans called pine trees. The landing legs extended smoothly, compensating for the uneven terrain. Atmospheric analysis confirms compatibility with our filtration systems, the science officer, Talus, reported. No unexpected pathogens detected. Gravity slightly lower than Graxilon standard, but within acceptable parameters. Quirrell stood, towering over his seated crew at nearly 8 feet tall. His exoskeletal armor hummed quietly as it adjusted to Earth's atmospheric pressure. Remember your training, he said. We are here to observe, collect data, and identify optimal harvest sites. The main fleet arrives in 72 hours. Until then, maintain stealth protocols. No human communication devices are to be captured or damaged. We don't want to alert them to our presence. What about specimen collection? Asked Mira, the biology specialist. The commander requested at least 5 humans for preliminary testing. We will conduct specimen acquisition during the 3rd rotation, Quirrell replied. First, we establish our perimeter and monitoring network. The scout team exited their vessel in perfect formation, weapons at ready despite intelligence suggesting no threats in the immediate vicinity. The Montana night was cool and quiet, with only the soft hooting of an owl disturbing the silence. Curious, Talus said, scanning the surroundings. Despite their technological limitations, these humans have preserved substantial natural environments. Inefficient use of resources. Jurix commented, his 4-fingered hand resting on his particle disruptor. This entire region could support urban development. Perhaps they value ecological balance. Mira suggested, collecting soil samples. Jurix laughed. Have you seen their industrial centers? Their oceans? These creatures don't understand ecological balance. They are simply too primitive to fully exploit their environment. Deploy perimeter sensors, Quirrell ordered, ignoring the banter. I want full coverage within 5 kilometers. Priority on approach routes and population centers. As his team spread out, Quirrell couldn't shake a vague sense of unease. Something about this planet felt different. Not threatening, exactly. Just unpredictable. He dismissed the thought. After all, humans were just one more species in a long list of harvesting operations. Within a week, the first processing ships would be extracting specimens by the thousands. Within a month, major population centers would be fully harvested. Within a year, Earth would join the ranks of depleted worlds, its value extracted for the greater glory of the Graxilon Sovereignty. Just another harvesting operation. Nothing more. 3 days later, Commander Vrax was beginning to reconsider his dismissal of Lieutenant Morex's concerns. What do you mean we have lost contact with Scout Team 3? He demanded, looming over the communications officer. Complete signal loss, sir, the officer replied, his skin paling to a sickly yellow. Last transmission indicated they had successfully acquired 2 human specimens and were returning to their vessel. Then, nothing. Vrax turned to Science Officer Plex. Could it be equipment failure? Unlikely, Commander. Scout vessels have redundant communication systems. For all signals to fail simultaneously would require catastrophic damage to the craft itself. And the other scout teams? Teams 1, 2, and 4 report normal operations, the communications officer said. Team 5 is currently on radio silence while infiltrating a military installation. Rex drummed his tentacles against the command console. Show me the last known location of Team 3. A holographic map materialized, showing a region the humans called Arizona. A blinking red dot indicated the scout vessel's position when communications ceased. What's in that area? Vrax asked. Nothing significant in human terms, Plex replied, consulting his data. Low population density, arid environment. The nearest human settlement is approximately 30 kilometers from the scout vessel's location. And yet somehow an entire scout team with superior technology and military training has vanished, Vrax said, his voice dangerously quiet. Explain that, Plex. I cannot, Commander, not without more data. Vrax stared at the holographic map, his mind racing through possibilities. Equipment failure. Unlikely. Hostile action from the humans. Even more unlikely, given their technological limitations. Environmental hazard. Possible, but their scouts were extensively briefed on planetary conditions. Dispatch Team 1 to investigate, he finally ordered. Full combat protocols authorized. Sir, Lieutenant Morix looked surprised. That's not standard procedure for a simple communication failure. This isn't a standard situation, Lieutenant, Vrax replied. Something eliminated one of our scout teams, and I intend to find out what. 6 hours later, Team 1 reported finding the wreckage of Scout Team 3's vessel. The craft had been destroyed not by mechanical failure but by what appeared to be high-energy weapons fire. Impossible, Vrax muttered, reviewing the images transmitted by Team 1. Human weapons technology isn't capable of this level of destruction. The evidence suggests otherwise, sir, Plex said carefully. The damage pattern is consistent with directed energy weapons, far beyond what our intelligence indicated humans possess. Could it be another species? An unknown alien presence on Earth? No evidence of non-human technology has been detected, Plex replied. Whatever destroyed the scout vessel appears to be of Earth origin. Vrax's skin darkened with anger. We have been misled. Our intelligence on human capabilities is flawed, or deliberately falsified, Morix suggested quietly. The command bridge fell silent as the implications of her statement sank in. You believe this is a trap? Vrax asked, turning to face her fully. I believe we should consider all possibilities, Commander, including the possibility that humans are more dangerous than we have been led to believe. Vrax was about to respond when the communications officer interrupted. Sir, emergency transmission from Scout Team 5. Put it through, Vrax ordered. The holographic display flickered, showing Captain Linden of Scout Team 5. The transmission was garbled, with static cutting through every few words. Behind him, alarm lights flashed and smoke filled the cabin of his scout vessel. Under attack, human military. Weapons unknown type. Shields failing. Request immediate extraction. The transmission cut off abruptly. Location? Vrax demanded. A region called Nevada, sir, the communications officer replied. Specifically, a restricted military zone designated as Area. Launch immediate extraction. Vrax ordered. Deploy combat drones and provide cover fire if necessary. Sir, that would reveal our presence to the entire planet, Morix cautioned. 2 scout teams lost in 3 days, Vrax countered. Our presence is already compromised. Priority now is recovering our personnel and reassessing the situation. The extraction attempt failed. By the time the combat drones reached the location, Scout Team 5's vessel was a smoking ruin, with no survivors detected. More disturbing still, the drones encountered sophisticated anti-air defenses that shouldn't have existed according to their intelligence reports. Vrax called an emergency council with his senior officers. This harvesting operation is compromised, he announced without preamble. Our intelligence on human capabilities was catastrophically flawed. The question is, do we abort or do we accelerate? Abort. Julian, his second-in-command, looked shocked. We have never aborted a harvesting operation. The Sovereign would prefer accurate information over dead harvesters, Vrax interrupted. We have lost 10% of our scout forces before the main operation has even begun. With respect, Commander, Plex interjected, I believe acceleration is our best option. If humans have detected our presence, a swift, overwhelming force deployment would neutralize their ability to organize effective resistance. I agree, said Venix, the fleet's military strategist. Their technological advantage appears limited to specific locations. A simultaneous global strike would overwhelm any defensive capabilities they might possess. And if those capabilities are more widespread than we currently believe, Morix asked, even if every human military installation has advanced weaponry which is unlikely, they cannot possibly defend their entire planet, Phoenix replied confidently. Our harvesting ships can simply avoid defended areas and concentrate on vulnerable population centers. Vrax considered the options. Aborting would mean returning to the Sovereign empty-handed, a career-ending, possibly life-ending failure. Accelerating carried risks, but with proper tactical adjustments, success was still achievable. We accelerate, he decided. Bring the main fleet into low orbit. Deploy harvesting ships to these coordinates. He highlighted several major human cities on the holographic display. Initial target, 1 million specimens within the first 24 hours. And the human military installations? Phoenix asked. Avoid them for now. Let them watch as we harvest their civilian populations. When they emerge to defend their people, we will assess their true capabilities and adjust accordingly. The senior officers nodded in agreement, except for Morix, who remained silent, her skin a troubled shade of blue. You disagree, Lieutenant? Vrax asked, noticing her coloration. I believe we are underestimating them, sir, she replied carefully. Their fiction, their endless stories about defeating alien invaders, they suggest a species that has been psychologically preparing for this scenario for generations. Fiction is not reality, Lieutenant, Vrax said dismissively. No amount of psychological preparation can overcome our technological superiority. Perhaps, sir, but there's something else that concerns me. In our surveillance of their communications, one phrase keeps appearing in military channels: contingency scenario harvest moon.
Meaning?
It appears to be a specific defense protocol, one that was activated immediately after our first scout team landed. Vrax's skin rippled with irritation. Why am I only hearing about this now? The intelligence division only decoded it 3 hours ago, sir. It suggests the humans not only detected our arrival but have a pre-established plan for this exact situation. A heavy silence fell over the council chamber. Finally, Vrax spoke. It changes nothing. We proceed as planned. But, he added, raising a tentacle to silence objections, we will deploy additional combat units with the harvesting ships. Double the standard protection protocol. As the council dispersed to implement his orders, Vrax remained alone, staring at the holographic image of Earth. Something nagged at the edges of his consciousness, a feeling he hadn't experienced in centuries of military service. Doubt. What if Morix was right? What if the humans were more prepared than they appeared? What if the scout team's destruction wasn't luck but the first move in a coordinated defense strategy? He dismissed the thoughts. Humans were primitive, divided. Their most advanced weapons were crude nuclear devices that couldn't penetrate Graxilon shields. Their militaries were fragmented along national lines, incapable of mounting a unified planetary defense. In 12 hours, the harvesting would begin. By this time tomorrow, the first shipments of human specimens would be on their way to Graxilon processing centers. And yet, as Vrax left the council chamber, he couldn't quite shake the feeling that they were missing something fundamentally important about humanity. Something that might prove problematic. The main harvesting fleet moved into position, massive ships descending through Earth's atmosphere toward major population centers. Operation Harvest officially commenced at 0300 hours, Graxilon Standard Time. That's when everything went wrong. The first harvesting ship to enter Earth's atmosphere exploded in a brilliant flash of light over Beijing. The second disintegrated above New York. The third never made it past the upper atmosphere above Moscow. Within 17 minutes, the Graxilon fleet had lost 23 harvesting vessels, each capable of transporting 50,000 human specimens. Impossible, Vrax bellowed, his skin cycling through shades of rage as the casualty reports flooded in. How are they targeting our ships? Our stealth technology is impenetrable to their scanning systems. Evidently not, sir, Plex replied, his usual clinical tone strained by disbelief. The humans appear to be using some form of directed energy weapon. Analysis suggests quantum phase disruption technology. That's absurd, Vrax hissed. Quantum phase technology is beyond their scientific understanding. Their most advanced theoretical physicists haven't even conceptualized the basic principles. And yet, Lieutenant Morix said quietly, our ships are falling from their sky like burning meteors. On the central view screen, the orbital feed showed another harvesting vessel spiraling toward Earth's surface, trailing flames and debris. Its destination had been London. Its final resting place would be the frigid waters of the North Atlantic. Full retreat. Vrax ordered, his voice hollow. All vessels return to high orbit immediately. The command bridge erupted in shocked exclamations. Commander, we have never retreated from a harvest. Julian protested. The Sovereign will have nothing if we lose the entire fleet. Vrax roared. Execute the order, now. As the surviving harvesting ships struggled to break atmosphere, human military channels buzzed with activity. Vrax watched in stunned silence as coordinated attacks crippled vessel after vessel. Whatever weapons system the humans were employing, it targeted the Graxilon ships with terrifying precision. Commander, the communications officer called out, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. From who on Earth? Vrax demanded. They identify themselves as the United Earth Defense Council. The transmission is being broadcast on all frequencies in perfect Graxilon language. A chill rippled through Vrax's body. Perfect Graxilon language? Even their most advanced translation algorithms required at least minimal exposure to a new species' communication patterns before achieving basic functionality. For humans to broadcast in flawless Graxilon suggested they had been studying the invaders for far longer than should have been possible. Put it through, he ordered, straightening his posture. The view screen flickered, and the image of a human female appeared. She was seated at what appeared to be a command center, surrounded by other humans monitoring various displays. Her face betrayed no fear, only cold determination. Graxilon command vessel, she said, her pronunciation of their language disturbingly perfect. This is Admiral Eleanor Reeves of the United Earth Defense Council. Your harvesting operation has been terminated. You have 30 minutes to recall all remaining forces and leave Earth orbit. Any vessel remaining after that time will be destroyed. Vrax stared at the human female, struggling to process the situation. How do you know our language? He finally asked. A smile spread across Admiral Reeves' face, not the smile of amusement, but the predatory grin of a carnivore. Let's just say you are not the first to try harvesting humanity, Commander. Commander Vrax, too, she continued, causing another shock wave of disbelief through the bridge. Yes, we know who you are. We know about the Graxilon Sovereignty. We know about the Continuation Project. And most importantly, we know your weaknesses. Impossible, Vrax whispered. Our civilization has never encountered your species before. No, but we have encountered yours, Reeves replied cryptically. 29 minutes remaining, Commander. I suggest you use them wisely. The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Options, Vrax demanded, turning to his senior officers. We should comply and retreat, Morix said immediately. They have demonstrated capabilities far beyond our intelligence assessments. We have already lost a quarter of our harvesting fleet. Unacceptable, Julian countered. We cannot retreat based on human threats. Deploy the battle cruisers. A direct military strike on their major command centers will result in more destroyed ships, Morix interrupted. If they can target our harvesting vessels through stealth fields, what makes you think battle cruisers will fare any better? Because battle cruisers have offensive capabilities. Julian snapped. We strike first, eliminate their weapon platforms, then proceed with the harvest. Vrax raised a tentacle, silencing the argument. Lex, analysis. How are they penetrating our stealth technology? The science officer's skin had paled to an ashen gray, the color of profound scientific distress. I have a theory, Commander, but it's troubling. Proceed. The quantum signature of our stealth field generators is supposed to be undetectable without quantum phase sensors. But if the humans somehow obtained Graxilon technology from another source, perhaps a scout vessel from a previous, unrecorded expedition, they could have reverse-engineered detection capabilities. No Graxilon vessel would surrender its technology, Julian said dismissively. Not willingly. Lex agreed. But if a vessel were disabled rather than destroyed, the implication hung heavy in the recycled air of the command bridge. The Krell expedition, Morix said suddenly. 73 cycles ago. 3 vessels, preliminary survey mission, officially listed as lost to cosmic radiation storm. What are you suggesting, Lieutenant? Vrax asked, though he already suspected the answer. I'm suggesting, sir, that the Krell expedition found Earth, attempted a preliminary assessment, and something went wrong. The humans captured Graxilon technology and have spent the intervening decades preparing for our arrival. 73 cycles is insufficient time for a pre-warp civilization to reverse engineer our technology, Julian objected. Unless they had help, Plex said quietly. A new, terrible possibility formed in Vrax's mind. The Arshai collective, Plex's skin rippled with confirmation. They have opposed our harvesting operations for centuries. If they discovered the Krell expedition's fate, they might have intervened, provided technological assistance to the humans, specifically to counter our eventual return. That would be a direct violation of the non-interference compact, Julian said. The Arshai never signed the compact, Morix reminded him. They have always maintained that sentient species have the right to self-determination. Rex turned back to the view screen, where the timer displayed the humans' ultimatum. 18 minutes remaining. Probe their defenses, he ordered. Deploy a single battlecruiser to their largest military installation. Let's see exactly what we are facing. The battlecruiser Inevitable Dominance dropped into low Earth orbit, its weapons systems charged to maximum capacity. Its target, the North American military complex known as NORAD. It never got to fire a single shot. The moment the cruiser's weapons systems locked onto the Earth target, a blinding beam of energy lanced upward from somewhere in the Canadian wilderness. The beam passed through the cruiser's shields as if they weren't there, slicing the massive vessel in half. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as atmosphere vented into space. Within seconds, the pride of the Graxilon fleet was reduced to expanding debris. Quantum phase disruption confirmed. Plex reported unnecessarily, his voice barely audible. Our shields are calibrated to standard energy weapons. They are useless against this technology. 12 minutes remaining, Commander, the communications officer announced. Vrax felt the weight of command pressing down on him like a neutron star. In his 4 centuries of military service, he had never faced defeat, certainly not at the hands of a supposedly primitive species. The humiliation would be total. The Sovereign would likely order his execution upon return. But returning with a decimated fleet, or not returning at all, was unthinkable. Prepare for emergency translocation, he ordered. All vessels to regroup at Rally Point Zeta. Sir, Julian protested, we cannot simply abandon. We are not abandoning anything, Vrax cut him off. We are conducting a strategic withdrawal to reassess and return with appropriate countermeasures. Even as he spoke, he knew it was a fiction. There would be no return, no second attempt at harvesting Earth. The Sovereign might order it, but any commander sent on such a mission would be embarking on a suicide run. As the fleet began its retreat, the communications officer called out again, Commander, another transmission from Earth. Ignore it, Vrax ordered. Sir, it's not from the Defense Council. It's from someone claiming to be Arshai Ambassador Turel Ven. Vrax froze. The Arshai Collective, the technological powerhouse that had opposed Graxilon expansion for millennia. If they were openly involving themselves with Earth, put it through, he said resignedly. The view screen flickered, revealing a tall, slender figure with iridescent skin and large, compassionate eyes, unmistakably Arshai. Commander Vrax Tull, the figure said, its melodic voice carrying the subtle harmonics characteristic of Arshai speech. I am Turel Ven, representative of the Arshai Collective to Earth. You have violated the non-interference compact. Vrax accused immediately. Turel Ven's expression remained serene. As your lieutenant correctly noted, we never signed that agreement. More importantly, we didn't provide humans with advanced technology, we merely accelerated their natural development path. Natural development? Vrax scoffed. Quantum phase disruption technology is not a natural development for a pre-warp civilization. You misunderstand humanity, Commander, Turtle replied. They are not what you think they are. Meaning they are not a harvesting resource. They are a nascent cosmic power, one that your sovereignty has now provoked. A chill ran through Vrax's body. Explain. When we first encountered humans 73 cycles ago, we recognized something. The Krell expedition missed, a unique cognitive architecture that processes information differently than most sentient species. Humans don't think linearly, they make intuitive leaps. Given the right catalyst, their technological development accelerates exponentially. The Krell expedition was that catalyst. Vrax realized. Precisely. When they captured a damaged Graxilon vessel, it sparked a unified global effort to prepare for your inevitable return. We simply provided guidance, context about the wider galactic community, and occasionally corrected their more dangerous misconceptions. So you created a weapon specifically designed to counter us, Vrax accused. Toril then shook his head. No, Commander, the humans created it themselves. What you have witnessed today is merely the first demonstration of their potential. If you force them to fully mobilize, the implication hung in the void between them. The Sovereign will not accept this interference, Vrax warned. The Sovereign is welcome to file a formal complaint with the Galactic Council, Prowl replied with the diplomatic equivalent of a shrug. But I suggest a different approach. Accept that Earth is now under Arshai protection. Add it to your exclusion registry and find your specimens elsewhere. You would protect them. A species that hasn't even achieved warp travel? We don't protect them, Commander. We recognize them as equals with the potential to surpass us all. The question is, do you— Before Vrax could respond, Admiral Reeves appeared beside the Arshai ambassador. 5 minutes remaining, Commander Toe. Your vessels are still within our defensive perimeter. We are leaving, Vrax said, his pride finally giving way to pragmatism. But know this, the Sovereignty has a long memory. So do we, Reeves replied coldly. We remember the Krell, every last one of them. The transmission ended, leaving Vrax with a profound sense of unease. Accelerate withdrawal, he ordered, maximum translocation speed. As the Graxilon fleet prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel, Lieutenant Morix approached his command chair. Permission to speak freely, sir. Granted, Vrax said wearily. I believe we have just witnessed something historically significant, the emergence of a new power in the galactic equation. One primitive species with borrowed technology does not constitute a power shift, Lieutenant. With respect, sir, I don't think it's the technology that makes them dangerous. It's their adaptability. Vrax recalled her earlier concerns about human fiction, their countless stories of defeating alien invaders. Perhaps those weren't mere fantasies, but psychological preparation, cultural programming for a scenario they somehow knew would eventually come. The Arshai called them a nascent cosmic power. He mused, Do you believe that assessment? I believe, sir, that any species capable of defeating a Graxilon harvesting fleet with technology they developed in just 73 cycles is worthy of caution. And perhaps, the fleet completed its withdrawal, the blue-green planet receding on their view screens. As Earth diminished to a distant point of light, Vrax found himself wondering what would have happened if they had approached humans differently. As potential allies rather than resources, as equals rather than specimens. Make a note in the official record, Lieutenant, he said finally. Planet Earth, Sol system. Classification, extremely hazardous. Harvesting potential, nil. Recommended approach, total avoidance. And unofficially, sir? Morix asked quietly. Vrax's skin shifted to a thoughtful purple. Unofficially, Lieutenant? I believe we may have just encountered the species that will eventually replace us all. 6 months after the failed Graxilon invasion, Admiral Eleanor Reeves stood in the newly constructed Unified Earth Defense Headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains. Beside her, Ambassador Turul then observed the bustling command center with quiet satisfaction. They are already adapting the quantum phase technology for peaceful applications, Turul noted, gesturing toward a team of scientists working on what would eventually become Earth's first faster-than-light engine. Remarkable. That's what we do, Reeves replied with a hint of pride. We build, we adapt, we improve. It's in our nature. Your capacity for turning adversity into advantage is unparalleled in my experience, Turul said. Most species would have responded to the Graxilon threat with pure military focus. You have transformed it into a technological renaissance. Reeves shrugged. We have had practice throughout our history. Conflict has driven innovation. The difference now is that we are finally united in purpose. And your next steps? The prototype warp vessel will be ready within 2 years. After that, she smiled, we go hunting. Turul looked alarmed. Hunting? You would pursue the Graxilon? Not for revenge, Ambassador. For knowledge, for diplomacy where possible, and deterrence where necessary. The universe just got a lot smaller, and we need to understand our place in it. The Galactic Council will not know what to make of you, Turul said, shaking his head in amazement. Good, Reeves replied with a predatory smile. I prefer to keep potential adversaries guessing. In potential allies. She considered this for a moment. Allies need to understand each other. So here's what you should understand about humanity. Ambassador Trory, we came terrifyingly close to extinction. We will never allow ourselves to be that vulnerable again. The Graxilon underestimated you. Thrall observed, a mistake I doubt they will repeat. It's not just the Graxilon I'm concerned about, Reeves said, turning to face the Arshai diplomat directly. Your people have been generous with their guidance, and we are grateful, but we are not naive. There are other powers out there, some perhaps less benevolent than the Arshai collective, who suspect ulterior motives in our assistance. Torl asked, sounding genuinely hurt. I suspect that every advanced civilization acts in its own interests, Reeves replied diplomatically. Sometimes those interests align with others, sometimes they don't. Right now, our interests align with the Arshai against Graxilon expansion, but the galaxy is complex, and alliances shift. Torl's expression grew serious. You are wise to be cautious, Admiral. The galactic political landscape is indeed complicated, but I assure you, the collective's primary interest is maintaining balance. The Graxilon Sovereignty's harvesting operations have disrupted that balance for too long, and now humanity enters the equation, Reeves said. An unknown variable. Hardly unknown. Torl replied with a slight smile. We have been observing your species for centuries. Your potential has been evident since your earliest civilizations. Your creativity, your resilience, your capacity for both great destruction and profound compassion, these qualities make you unique enough to concern the Arshai. Tyrell considered the question carefully before answering. Yes, he admitted finally. You concern us. You inspire us. You fascinate us. And occasionally you terrify us. But that, I think, is the appropriate response to any truly transformative force in the universe. In the command center below, technicians monitored the newly established early warning network, a web of quantum phase sensors extending throughout the solar system. On the main display, a small green dot represented a Graxilon observation vessel hovering just beyond Pluto's orbit, watching, analyzing, reporting back to the Sovereignty. Reeves nodded toward the display. They are still there, observing. Of course, Torl said. The Graxilon never abandon a potential resource entirely. They are assessing, looking for weaknesses, considering alternative approaches. Let them watch, Reeves said with quiet confidence. What they will see is humanity advancing decades in months, centuries in years. By the time they decide on their next move, we will be ready. And if other harvesters come, there are predatory species besides the Graxilon. Reeves turned to the ambassador, her expression hardening. Then they will learn the same lesson. They came to harvest humanity, but what they found was something far worse. Worse? Ursarl asked, genuinely curious. A species that learns from its enemies, Reeves explained, that adapts their strengths and eliminates their weaknesses, that transforms from prey to predator in a single generation. She gestured to the bustling command center. This is just the beginning, Ambassador. Humanity is awakening to its potential, and the galaxy will never be the same. As if to emphasize her point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. The main display shifted to show a new contact approaching from the direction of Alpha Centauri, a massive vessel of unknown configuration. First contact scenario, Reeves announced calmly, as the command center erupted into controlled activity. Not Graxilon. Not Arshai. Tura's skin paled slightly. That vessel bears the markings of the Doraxian Imperium. They are not harvesters. They are conquerors. Hostile. Invariably. Trolla confirmed, and far more advanced than the Graxilon. Reeves watched the approaching ship with calculating eyes. Good, she said finally. Good? Troya looked at her in disbelief. Admiral, you don't understand. The Doraxians have subjugated 12 star systems. Their technological capabilities exceed even the Arshai collective in some respects. Then they will provide an excellent test of our new defenses, Reeves replied, activating the facility's communication system. All stations. This is Admiral Reeves, implementation of defense protocol, Cosmic Thunder. This is not a drill. Throughout Earth's solar system, hidden weapon platforms powered up, their quantum phase disruptors recalibrating to target the new threat. On Mars, the newly established military outpost prepared its fighter squadrons. In orbit around Jupiter, the prototype battleship Humanity's Vengeance broke from its mooring station. You are going to fight them? Kral asked, amazement evident in his voice. "No," Ambassador Reeves corrected him with a predatory smile. "We are going to make an example of them." As the Doraxian vessel approached, unaware of the fate that awaited it, Admiral Reeves couldn't help but reflect on the irony. The Graxilon had come to harvest humanity, believing they were the predators and humans the prey. Instead, they had awakened something that had been dormant in humanity for millennia: a unified purpose, a collective will to survive and thrive among the stars. They had come to harvest humanity. They had awoken something far worse: humanity unleashed. The first quantum phase beam lanced across the void of space, striking the Doraxian vessel with pinpoint precision. The battle for humanity's place in the galaxy had begun. And for the first time in cosmic history, the predatory civilizations of the stars would learn what it meant to become the hunted.